I'm Jennifer from Friends on the Block, and I'm going to share 2 reading games. The first game is Word, Walk, and Wiggle. To play Word, Walk, and Wiggle, you will need a shower curtain liner, a list of words, some paper, a marker, a pair of scissors, 2 boxes to shake things in, and if you have perfectionistic tendencies, you're probably also going to want something to help you draw a circle. You might also want some painter's tape. So we're going to turn this shower curtain liner into a giant game board. And to do that, we're going to use whatever object you have to trace around and make some circles. So I'm using a Frisbee. You can use whatever you have at your house, like a paper plate or a bucket or some other circular toy. You don't have to do this. You can just freehand draw a circle, but I like my circles to be as neat as I can, so I'm going to use a Frisbee to trace, and we're going to put circles all over your game board. I'm only going to do a couple just as an example. So we're going to put them randomly, so you don't really want them in rows. Just put down whatever you're tracing, or just freehand draw it, and draw several circles all over your board. Okay. Once you've covered your whole board in circles, I'm going to pretend that I did. Once the whole game board is covered in circles, then you're going to use your word list. So I am going to be reading a level 3 Friends on the Block book with one of my friends soon, so I want to use the level 3 word list. Every Friends on the Block book has a word list at the beginning. But the earliest levels of Friends on the Block don't have a ton of words in each level, but Friends on the Block is cumulative. So I'm going to use words from this level that my friend is learning now, level 3, and the one that we just finished working on, level 2. So I printed off this word list from friendsontheblock.com. It's a free word list file that anyone can download. And I'm going to use the words from level 3 and level 2. I'm going to cover my game board. If you're just playing with one child, write each word once on the game mat. But if you're playing with multiple children, you can repeat a word, but I wouldn't do it more than twice because you want as many words as you can to be on your board. But if you're playing with 3 or 4 kids, then you might want to have 2 squares so that the kids could share a square for some space. So I'm going to look at one of these words. I'm going to write it as neatly as I can in the circle. In all your circles, you're going to write all of your words. And you can skip around. The word list online is in alphabetical order, but your game mat doesn't need to be in alphabetical order. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. Okay, so we're going to pretend that I did that all over the mat. So when your game board is completely covered with circles and words, then you're going to use the words that you put on this game mat, and you're going to make word cards. So get a piece of paper and cut it into pieces. And then I folded a paper just to kind of give me some guidelines. Now, although I like my circles to be circular, I'm not as concerned about my game cards because these are not for keeps. We're going to play with these game cards for a little bit, and then we're going to recycle them, and we're going to keep learning, and we're going to keep needing new game cards. So I'm not quite as concerned about these game cards being perfect little cards. All right, I'm going to take some of my cards, and I'm going to write the words that I just used on my game mat. 1 word on each card. You only want the words that you have on your mat. So once you've made word cards for all the words you have on your mat, you're going to put them in a container. Then you're going to take some more cards, and you're going to make movement cards. So on each card, you're going to write one way that your child can move across this board. So you might have guessed from the name of this activity, Word, Walk, and Wiggle, that one of the words is going to be walk, right, walk, and then another one is going to be wiggle. And then here you can customize this game to make it really fun for your child. So like at my house, we might have a sloth walk because we really like sloths. So we would move slow like a sloth. You might just want to have a slow-mo walk, or another fun one is a robot walk. You could tiptoe or dance or twirl or spin. You can even ask your child to help you come up with some ideas. What do they think are fun ways to move? But try to stay away from things like slither or slide, things that are going to drag across the game mat, because the game mat will get all bundled up, which is where the painter's tape comes into play. Depending on where you're playing, so I'm on some wood floors here, it's very slippery. I might want to use some painter's tape to hold my game board down. But if you're playing on a rug or certain types of carpet, it might not slide as much, and so you might not need to do that. So after you have your word cards and your movement cards, in order to play the game, you clear off your board, and one person pulls out a word and a movement card, and then your child will do that action to get to that word. So this would be sloth walk to the word R, and then they would sloth walk to the word R. Then they would stand there, and you could throw these back in, and then you can shake it up or just mix it up and grab another one. Robot walk to the word U. So they're going to move all over the board. They're going to look for the word, and they're going to move in this creative way to get there. So keep the words in, and if you pull it again, that's fine. So if you're standing on R and you pull R again, just throw it back in and grab another one. So that is how you play word, walk, and wiggle. You'll use your giant game mat, you'll pull a word, you'll pull a movement card, and your child will move in that way to find the word. But there's another way you can play with the same game mat. You can take this very same game mat and you can play a game called word toss. So for this one, you're going to need those word cards that you've made, and then something little you can throw. I have these little bean bags from another game, or you could use a little stuffed animal, but something soft that won't roll away too much. You're going to have your reader stand over on the side of the mat, and then you're going to call out a word, and your reader is going to throw the item and try to land on that word. And whatever word it lands on, they'll read the word. So when it lands, they'll read the word you. So you'll continue calling out the different words. You can hand them back the little thing, they'll throw it again, and they'll try to throw it to the next word and then read it, R. So this one, I like to award points for. So you can either teach your youngest readers how to make tally marks and how to count those as points, or you can just use numerals and keep score. I like to give 2 points if you land in the circle of the target word. But now we know sometimes when we are aiming for one thing, we might hit something else. So I also award 1 point if you land on a different word, but you can still read that word. With the earliest readers, I even give 3 points if you land on the word you meant to throw it to, 2 points if you land on any word, and 1 point if you just land on the game mat, because for some kids, even that is a victory. So that is another way that you can play with this giant game mat. And I'm thinking that with these ideas rolling around in your heads, you might be able to come up with even more ways to play with these fun mats. So be sure to comment and let us know how much you like word, walk, and wiggle, and word toss, and share your ideas for how else you can play with this really cool mat.